do a terrible Michael Jackson impersonation, but I was able to make Michael Jackson on my TikTok avatar, so yeah. I'm being goofy. This is Mackie, aka P.I.M.O JW. I'm just being a little goofy today, maybe because it's Friday the 13th. I wanted to share a story with you guys. I wanted to tell you about the time that I was stranded as a child at a pancake house. Yes, me and my mom and brother went out in service one Saturday morning. My dad, of course, he stayed home because he wasn't an unbaptized publisher. He never dedicated himself, so he never was a witness, so he stayed home. So we ended up working with another sister in our field service group, and she offered to drive. So we hopped in her car, and there was a couple of more cars that started to drive towards the territory. And then we go out in service for a little bit. And after about a couple of hours of field service, we start to get hungry, thirsty. You know how it goes. And so we all agreed on brunch. So we leave the territory and go straight to brunch. We didn't go back to Kingdom Hall. We just went straight there from the territory, right? So we went to this pancake house off of the highway called the Iron Skillet. They got really good food, by the way. If you haven't been there, you should give it a shot if it's one near you. Hey, Iron Skillet, y'all should pay me for this advertisement here. Bears should too, but Michael Jackson, he should be rooting for the Indianapolis Colts because he's from Gary, right? Anyway, so we go to eat breakfast or whatever, and after breakfast is over, my crazy butt thought that it would be a fun idea to ride back to the Kingdom Hall with the other couple. So I asked them, "Oh, can I ride back with you all?" And they're like, "Oh, sure, just as long as it's okay with your mom." Okay. So they were sitting on the other end of the table or whatever. So I forgot where I was sitting, but a couple of people away from my mother. So I walk over to her and I'm like, "Is it okay if I can ride with them or whatever?" They weren't paying attention to me and my mom talking at the time. This was kind of an older couple, okay? So they weren't paying attention. And my mom was like, "Yeah, go ahead, And I don't know, I must have been senile that day too. I don't know if it was the food or whatever, but I forget to tell them that my mother said it was okay because they were on their way to the bathroom. So they were on their way to the bathroom, so they go to the bathroom. My mother was like, "Yeah, let's just go to the bathroom, whatever." So we all go, take turns going to the bathroom. And so what happened was, after I was done going to the bathroom, I come out. It was only like maybe one or two. It was 2 stalls. I come out, there's nobody inside, so I'm figuring, okay, maybe they're all out waiting for me back at the table or whatever. I come back to the table. Nobody is there. There is nobody in sight. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're waiting for me in the car. But my thing is, if I'm 10, 11 years old, shouldn't you guys be waiting for me at the table? And not in the car? But I don't know. So I started to get really nervous. I started panicking. I started crying, but nobody really notices that I'm crying because the way I cry is like I have a poker face and I freeze up and I tear up. I don't run around with a chicken with my head cut off. I'm the opposite. Some people, they go frantic. I'm the type that freezes up, okay? So I sit down in the waiting area where they have the chairs or whatever, before you're called to your table. That's where I was sitting at. And fortunately, the sister that we rode with drives to the front entryway and comes and gets me. And my mother's, you know, sitting there. I mean, she not sitting there, but she gets out of her car to come and get me. And she sees me, I'm in tears. She knows when I'm, like, you know, panicking. She knows me. Whatever. And she was like, I thought you were in the car with the couple. Fortunately, what happened was that couple, they, this is what Jehovah's Witnesses do. We don't just leave anywhere. We all stand, sit, talk, blah, blah, blah in the parking lot before we leave. So, fortunately, that's what happened. The couple, which, who happened to park farther away, they happened to drive around to check up on us to check up on the car group that we were in, to make sure they was okay before they left. And my mother had noticed that I wasn't in the car with them. Okay. And she's like, where's Mackie? And they were like, she was like, she was supposed to be in the car with you guys. They're like, oh, but she didn't say that it was that she didn't tell us that it was okay with you. So they're looking at each other and they're like, oh my goodness, she's still at the restaurant. You know, so that's what happened. So that's how she ended up driving around back to the front door so that my mother couldn't come and get me. And oh my goodness, I was just crying. My mother, she just snatched me up really quickly and left. I think she was embarrassed to have put that much trust in that couple. I don't know. But I was scared to death. You know, I thought that I was going to be kidnapped. You know, it was terrible. It was terrible, you know. It's a good thing that that couple did drive around to check on them. Because if they had just went straight home, and then if my mother had just went straight to back to the car, she would have been like, how come that couple didn't come back to the you know, hall to come and I wonder did they, you know, they may have dropped her off at home or something. You know, that would have been weird, because if they had went home and my mother had went to back to her car, and she would have had to drive all the way to their house to see if I was there, and they would have been like, no, and then she would have had to go all the way back to the restaurant to come and get me. See, this was before cell phones, okay? This was before anybody had a cell phone, okay? This was in the mid-90s. Now, some people had cell phones, but my parents didn't, and neither did none of the brothers and sisters that we went out of service with had a cell phone back in 1995, 1994, something like that. So yeah, that was kind of spooky for me as a kid. Okay, it may not sound spooky now, but I felt like, you know, child in danger, man, like a motherfucker. But yeah, that's the story that I wanted to tell you guys. I was so scared, you know, and my mother was a little lax sometimes. Like, when it came to the witnesses, she just put a whole lot of trust in them. And, you know, because she figures, a lot of parents do. A lot of parents put more than 100% trust, you know, in other brothers and sisters, thinking that they're going to have their kids' backs or whatever, you know, or look out for them, you know. They think that the organization is that village for their kids, and not the case. Not the case. Now, fortunately, nothing happened to me. I didn't get abducted. I didn't get kidnapped. I didn't get, you know, trafficked, because that kind of stuff can happen with just, you know, random missing kids. You know, I could have easily been on a cereal box, you know, but it's a good thing that that couple actually drove around to see if I was there, you know, or to see if everybody was okay, because they thought that I was with my mom. because I never got back to them. Part of that is my fault, but at the same time, as a parent and as adults, they should kind of keep tabs on their kids no matter what their kids say or do or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'm not judging my mom for that, but it's just, I kind of felt like, worthless that whole day. Like, nobody loves me, you know. You know, it's bad enough as a kid, as a JW kid, that you don't have that many friends and family to talk to, let alone being left in a restaurant, you know. But I don't know, maybe I should have talked to my therapist about this instead of blasting it on YouTube. But, yeah, anyway, I hope you all are having a fabulous Friday the 13th. This is Mackie, a P.I.M.O, and I want to tell you, question everything. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. And don't be afraid to do outside research. All right, y'all have a great weekend. And for those that are off on Martin Luther King Day, too, have a great 3-day weekend. Peace.